Hey, over here!
Huh? A wise choice. Though the Empire has fallen from its former glory, the other regions are merely offshoots that pale in comparison. So, you've accepted a teaching position here. Pity. I was hoping you would lend your strength to the Empire. I never properly introduced myself, did I? My name is Edelgard von Hresvelg. I am the princess and heir apparent of the Adrestian Empire. I wonder if you'll be tasked with leading the Black Eagles. I hope you've had a chance to meet everyone. Would you like to know more about any of the Black Eagles? Some believe the dignity of the Empire rests on the results of the mock battle. That's an overstatement, of course. Still, we must do our best to prevail. You should take the time to learn each student's abilities. Perhaps some extra lessons and training sessions are in order? You look as if you have no idea what's going on here. I know my way around, so I'm happy to help you find your footing. It's finally time for the mock battle. This is my chance to measure your worth as an instructor. Do you think you can rise to the challenge? So confident. This will be interesting. Each of us has undergone strict training. We're prepared for anything that comes our way. That means there's no need to hold back. Show us what you're capable of. The last time we fought bandits, you saved me. Maybe I can return the favor this time. The knights are well aware of our enemy's strength. We can count on them to keep the battlefield under control for us. It seems unlikely that we would lose. Still, let's do all we can to prepare. Perhaps, for some students, this will be their first time stepping onto a real battlefield. It's important that they're mentally prepared. As for me, do I look green to you? Is there anything else you wish to ask me about? Regarding spending your time at the monastery? Or battles? On our way out, I had the chance to observe the Red Canyon. Did you notice anything, Professor? Of course. I expected as much. The area was covered in ruins, each more curious than the last. They did not match the architectural style of any era or culture within the Empire, or across all of Fodlan for that matter. That can only mean one thing. The Valley civilization must have flourished and fallen in the distant past, long before the Empire was established. Who do you think lived there? It's possible they weren't even human. Perhaps their remnants still influence this world. Even within the Knights of Seros, Catherine is the strongest, by a large margin from what I've gathered. Why not seek her out as a sparring partner, Professor? Everyone was a bit shaken by the militia fighting alongside our enemies. If only everyone could face reality so unflinchingly. The commoners who allied themselves with Lord Lenato believed they were fighting for a just cause. It would be disrespectful to consider them simply victims when they died for what they believed in. Still, we have no choice but to eliminate those who cling to unreasonable ideas of justice. Even if our enemies are the gods themselves, we must never lose sight of our goal. I'm surprised to hear you say that. Really, I'm just like Lenato. I, too, will be the sort of ruler who's willing to risk the lives of my citizens in service of a higher cause. It's not possible to change the world without sacrifice. Dying for the greater good is not a death in vain. Our enemy's true target, what could it be? The monastery has been around for nearly a millennium. It's only logical that there are secrets here. We'd better investigate. Would you mind asking around and seeing what you can dig up? Once you've uncovered some leads, we'll regroup. There's a place that the church values above all others. On the day of the rite, it will be open to the public. That will make it much easier than usual to access. Precisely. We can't know for certain, but it's a distinct possibility that the Holy Mausoleum is our enemy's target. Professor, I heard about our mission for this month. A thief with a hero's relic is worrisome, but with you at our side, I'm certain we can handle him. After all, you have the Sword of the Creator. It was allegedly wielded by Nemesis, the King of Liberation. If the legends are true, you hold the power to stand against entire armies. A band of thieves should be nothing. Even the most elite Imperial forces or the Knights of Saros could not hope to defeat you. Is that so? Even if those forces were to hurt someone precious to you? Can you say with full confidence that you would not turn your sword on them if that were to happen? You know, your power does not lie solely in the Sword of the Creator. You are stronger and more terrifying than you realize. Professor, when we leave the monastery, will you still think of yourself as my teacher? Never mind. I'm being thoughtless with my words. For now, let's just focus on the problem at hand. Save...
A ghost, perhaps? No, that is surely not the case. What is that look upon your face? I am no ghost, if that is what was on your mind.
No. Who's there? Professor, what are you doing here? What could that possibly mean? In any case, please don't scare me like that. So you heard me then. Yes, it was a nightmare. I've had them since I was a child. Stupid, pointless dreams I can't control. It's terribly frustrating. No, they're just worthless dreams of the past. Talking about it won't change a thing. I had a feeling you'd say that. I suppose I could try, but only if you swear not to tell a soul. I appreciate it. I dream of my older brother, paralyzed, helpless. My older sister crying for help that never came. The youngest babbling words beyond meaning. I see my family dying slowly, waiting in the darkest depths for a glimmer of light. I once had 10 siblings, 8 older and 2 younger. Such a large family, and yet I became the heir to the throne. Do you know why? Every last one of them was crippled by disease, or lost their mind, or died. I was the only one left who could inherit the throne. Things kept getting worse. The darkness kept getting darker. In the end, I was the only one who survived. The nightmares are a reminder to never forget, to never allow such terrible things to happen again. Even now, I'm the only one who can carry the weight of the Adrestian Empire. The future of the Empire, of everything, depends on me. I shared more than I intended to. I suppose there's something in the air tonight. I've never told anyone about my past before. Please, forget I said anything. Sleep well, my teacher. For a hero's relic to be stolen, it's unheard of.
And just last month, the Sword of the Creator was almost stolen too.
Also quite unheard of. What impudence.
For House Gautier to invite us onto their land, they must be desperate. But at least we'll have the stalwart knights ready to stand around and watch us do all the work.
I keep thinking about what Gilbert told us. Yes, Miklon was discarded by his family because he was born without a crest. Eventually, he became a masterful thief and gathered enough ruffians to capture a fortress. Right or wrong, he was a gifted leader. He could have been a great asset to Fodlan. What a waste! It's true that a crest can increase your magical abilities and allow you to wield the full might of a hero's relic. But one cannot measure a leader's worth based solely on whether or not they bear a crest. There are plenty of talented people in this world without one. People believe crests are blessings from the goddess, that they're necessary to maintain order in Fodlan. But the people are wrong. Crests are to blame for this brutal, irrational world we live in. Their power is granted only to a select few, whom we elevate and allow to rule the world. Have you ever wondered if the only way to create a truly free world is to dispense with the goddess and the crests? Do that, and people will have no choice but to rise and fall by their own merits.
Lady Edelgard, I question whether you revealed too much to the professor.
Perhaps I did.
It is true that our teacher possesses a rare talent. Even I cannot deny it. The ability to wield the sword of the Creator is concerning.
I've already explained this to you. My power alone is insufficient. That's why I'm borrowing power from those people. If our teacher can wield it in my stead, I believe that would be for the best.
It's a risk. A dangerous one. You leave me no choice but to take matters into my own hands. Please excuse me.
I can't hide from the truth. I can't do all that I must on my own. If all I can rely on is my own ambition, my path won't be easy. Is it so risky to reach out my hand? Father, I swear I will not stop until I succeed. My regret, my grief, my whole life. I've thrown it all away into the darkness. We must begin our search for Flame, Professor. If she ran off of her own free will, that's her business. But that may not be the case. For her sake, I suggest we assume that she was abducted and begin an investigation. Who benefits from kidnapping her? Let's gather all the information we can on anyone who's been acting strangely. Whatever the circumstance, I'm glad Flame is safe. Though I'm curious to find out who that other girl is. Huh? Professor? Is that a smile? You look happy. I don't think I've ever seen you like this before. Anyhow, we should hurry to Seth. He must be beside himself by now.
What do you say, Adel? Shall we meet up in the library later to...
Oh, hello, Professor.
Do you need something? I'm a little busy at the moment.
Sorry, Professor. I've got a lot of questions to ask Adel here. Since I couldn't graduate last year, I really want to make sure I can do so this year. Don't worry. I won't participate in any assignments, so as not to take any attention away from the younger students. I look forward to learning from you, Professor.
Oh, it's you. Out late again, I see. What brings you here? Is it that obvious? I despise being cooped up when sleep evades me. I just have to get some fresh air. So I see. Still, it's ill-advised to stay up so late. I should get some sleep too, but... Have you ever felt a sort of longing for the outdoors? I have. There are times I long for the warmth of the sun, for a sweet breeze on my face. Do you remember what I told you the other night? About my past? None of my siblings had a chance to lead the sort of life they deserved. An ordinary life. My siblings and I were... We were imprisoned underground, beneath the palace. The objective was to endow our bodies with the power of a major crest. I have always possessed the crest of Seros, inherited through the Hresvelg bloodline. But it was only a minor crest, and most of my siblings bore no crest at all. In order to create a peerless emperor to rule Fodlan, they violated our bodies by cutting open our very flesh. Now here I stand, the fruit of that endeavor, Edelgard von Hresvelg. But that came at too high a price. The others were sacrificed. Ours weren't the only lives devastated by that terrible process. Innocents died as well, without even knowing what they were dying for. And there you have it, the truth of the Hresvelg's empire. The Prime Minister and his gaggle of nobles. They had the empire under their thumbs. My father, the Emperor, tried to stop him, but it was futile. My father was nothing but a puppet on a string by then. He was powerless to save us. I know how it all sounds. But when you see my true strength, you will know I speak the truth. I have kept it hidden all this time, but I will reveal to you the power of my second crest. It is the same as yours, the crest of flames. When it manifested for me, I swore a silent oath. For the sake of my family, and for all the poor souls whose lives were traded for my existence. For their sake, I will build a world where such meaningless sacrifice is never again sanctioned. As Emperor, I will change the world. I swear it. That sounds like a certain someone we both know. But as you wish, we'll use whatever strategy you think is best. No need to get carried away with praise. I know you both feel we won by a paper-thin margin. And I won't deny it. If we were to fight again, there's no telling who would prevail. What do you think, Professor? Professor! Well, I suppose it's okay to let victory go to your head just this once. Until today, I thought it would fall to me to command and guide our ranks all by myself. But with you leading us, I've gotten to experience what it's like to fight alongside everyone. And I've realized how happy it makes me, fighting under your command. The Emperor doesn't take orders from anyone. It's their duty to stand alone and lead the entire empire. But maybe it's better to have someone to rely on, so that you can support and guide each other through the darkness. I may be heir to the Imperial throne, but first and foremost, I'm your grateful student. That will never change, even when I fulfill my destiny and become the Emperor. I told you long ago that I wish to enlist you in the service of the Empire. Well, I take it back. Now I wish only for your continued guidance during my eventual reign.
You look unwell. It's because of what happened, isn't it?
Don't speak of it aloud.
You can't change the past. For now, all we can do is use it to our advantage.
I know that. I also know that I must steel myself to ascend the Imperial throne.
Those preparations are going well. Someone is coming.
Professor, I heard about our mission for this month. Something terrible is happening in Ramire Village. That's where you were when fate sent you our way. This feels preordained.
Are the Knights making progress with their investigation? If what is happening there is by design, there must be someone pulling the strings. There is the Death Knight, of course, and the mysterious mages who were implicated with the Western Church. They showed up when Flame was kidnapped as well. And now there is another strange occurrence near the monastery. It seems an unknown organization hopes to make the monastery its stage for something.
Do you believe that all these incidents are connected, Professor? Oh, I'm surprised to hear you say that. But Actually, I agree. It certainly appears that all of the events surrounding the monastery are connected by a single thread. However, I think it's possible that it may just be a result of different motives overlapping. Remember, Professor, if you think of people as simply enemies or allies, it may be impossible to grasp the truth. They say that things rarely, if ever, go according to plan. Still, plan we must. After all, if we don't effectively force things to go our way, nothing will be achieved. How about you, Professor? Are you leading the life you envisioned for yourself? Your character must be stronger than most.
This is horrific. It's even more revolting. More terrible than I expected.
Yes, we must find a way to save this village. Professor, I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but admirable work out there. I really believe we did all that we could. Geralt said the same thing. We must try to stay positive, even through the horror. I hear the so-called Flame Emperor appeared in Remire Village as well. Hubert told me that you spoke with him. And do you believe him, Professor? Oh? But how can you trust someone without even knowing who they are? Even if his words are true, his objectives are still unclear. But if the Flame Emperor should someday reveal his true intentions, maybe then he will appear before you without his mask, and you can look in his eyes and decide what you believe.
Adel, I need to ask you something. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I interrupt?
No, not at all. If you'll excuse me, Professor. Everyone's in such a festive mood. I feel a bit out of my element here. I can't help but worry something might happen while we're all distracted. After all, our enemies are always plotting. Still, this air of levity is much more agreeable than the grim atmosphere of late. Who knows where each of us will be in 5 years' time, or who we will become. Still, I have faith that all of us will gather and celebrate our reunion.
That's assuming the professor is still here in 5 years, and not enjoying a cozy early retirement.
Even if that's the case, you will come, won't you? Whether or not you're still teaching here. Don't forget, my teacher. Even if the Millennium Festival should be cancelled, I promise to return here. Ah, here you are. Are you waiting for someone? For me? Well, you should have summoned me earlier. Regardless, here I am. No, nothing in particular. In fact, that's why I came here. This place, the Goddess Tower, it was special to my parents. My father attended the Officers' Academy himself. A few years after graduating, he was crowned emperor. One day, during a visit to the monastery, he snuck into the Goddess Tower on a nostalgic whim. And there she was, my mother. She had just enrolled in the academy that very year. They were instantly drawn to each other. Love at first sight, you could say. It was the first time either had truly been in love. Or so the story goes. Yes. Of course, as emperor, my father had already married for political reasons. As the empire demands many heirs, he also had numerous other lovers. In the end, my mother settled for becoming one of his many consorts. But I choose to believe there was genuine love between them. I suppose it's a silly story to cling to. For some reason, I feel compelled to tell you all of these things I have kept hidden. I can't say the name, but it was a noble who I met in the kingdom a lifetime ago. Anyway, What about you? It's your turn to reveal some long-held secret. You can share a story about your past, or perhaps tell me about your first love. You realize that just makes me more curious than ever. No, I'm the one who should apologize. It wasn't my intention to pry. I'm just intrigued by you and your mysterious past. You have supposedly always been a mercenary, but I believe there's more to your story than that. Let's leave it there for today and return to the ball. There must be plenty of students hoping to talk with you, and to dance with you. I would not wish to prevent you from mingling. I cannot keep you all to myself, after all. You're here again. Professor, you've been crying. So, even you cry sometimes. Oh, I suppose that was thoughtless of me to say. My teacher, you're so blinded by grief that you can't see what's going on right in front of you. Are you waiting for time to heal your wounds? Or have you curled up in a corner and lost the will to carry on? It's not like you to speak to me like that. You know I'd never ask you a question without purpose. Only you can truly understand your own sadness. Others can sympathize, or even empathize, but all anyone else can offer are the tears of an outsider looking in. So I have no intention of crying for you, or of standing still with you. All I can do is promise to reach out my hand when the time comes for me to move forward. The mysterious organization that was carrying out experiments in Remire Village and the chapel, they're up to something near Garreg Mach. The Archbishop has sent the Knights to undertake a large-scale investigation. No information has surfaced yet, but our enemies will soon be discovered. When they are, will you lead us into battle? Or will you just sit here, with no thought for the future that is fast approaching? My teacher, there is a choice to be made. I hope you make the right one. Professor, I'm so happy to see you. You're finally returning to your old self. To see the light in your eyes again is a gift. It inspires me to carry on as well. As you know, the Knights are searching furiously for any trace of the enemies who escaped. I'll inform you immediately if I learn anything relevant. That hair, and those eyes. You remind me of someone. What happened to you? The goddess. I see. Well, I'm happy for you. Your weapon is called the Sword of the Creator, after all. It's no wonder she looks favorably upon you. Just as it was with Saint Saros, no doubt. And just how will you use this new power, Professor? For us? I see. Tell me, if the world, and your students included, were to divide and go to war with each other, what would you do? In that scenario, each side would represent both the world and your students. Who would you... Professor? Have you fallen asleep? This must be a side effect of your recent... changes. I can't just leave you here. I could try carrying you, but... No, I had better call for Hubert. Professor, will you join me? There's something I must do. It will take a few days, but I promise we'll be back in time for the ceremony at the Holy Tomb. It's meant to be a secret, but... I'm going to Enbar, the Imperial capital. There is something I must do there. Thank you, my teacher. Father, forgive me for asking this of you. I know how much pain you're in, how the burden of the throne weighs heavily on you. And so...
There is no need to apologize, Edelgard. You must know that I do not have much time left in this world. The time has come.
Thank you, Father. Now, to complete the Imperial succession, you must relinquish your crown here in the throne room. The Archbishop of the Church of Seros would normally act as witness, but my professor will fill that role instead.
Edelgard.
From this day forward, the weight of the Empire's future shall rest upon my shoulders. All that I do will be for the benefit of the people of Fodlan.
Edelgard von Hresvelg, the crown is yours. By the covenant between the red blood and the white sword, and by the double-headed eagle upon your head, I hereby pronounce you the new Emperor. Are you prepared to take those responsibilities as your own?
In accordance with the ancient covenant, and in keeping with the Hresvelg legacy, I swear that upon this throne, I shall use my reign to lead Fodlan to a new dawn and achieve peace for all.
The Imperial succession is complete. My daughter, I regret that I could not do more for you. When you were stolen away to the kingdom, when the Prime Minister did those horrible things, I could only watch in horror.
I understand, Father. In those dark times, your eyes and your fists were my salvation. Within your eyes, I saw true care. And upon your fists, clenched tight with indignity, I saw the blood that dripped and fell. Even as I bled, I felt that you too must also be bleeding.
Your Majesty, you must not leave your sleeping chambers in your condition. Ah, Edelgard. I did not expect to find your Highness here.
Prime Minister, you have misspoken. I am no longer your Highness, but rather your Majesty.
Impossible!
It is true. Edelgard is the new Emperor of the Etrestian Empire. We will summon the officials and prepare an ordinance at once. And you, Prime Minister,
are dismissed. It will be some time before you are allowed to make contact with the outside world again.
No! How can this be? Understood, Your Majesty.
Edelgard, my dear El, I leave the fate of Fodlan in your capable hands.
Father. Thank you for staying by my side, Professor. Now that I'm the Emperor, it's time to grasp my destiny. After the ceremony at the Holy Tomb, I must return to Enbar. This may be the last we see of each other. We are out of time, my teacher. Everyone is waiting for us. We must go. Thank you for coming all the way to the Imperial capital, Professor. The announcement of my enthronement is imminent. Until then, can you please keep it to yourself? There are many preparations that must be made before the news spreads. I believe Hubert will be occupied and away from the monastery for much of this month. Stop right there!
Don't move, any of you. If you move, your lives will be forfeit. Thank you ever so much for guiding us this far. The Imperial Army will now take possession of everything in the Holy Tomb.
What's the Imperial Army doing here?
Wait, does he work for the Flame Emperor?
So the Flame Emperor is connected to the Empire. I never thought that possible.
Edelgard, did you know about this?
Yes, In fact, I gave the order. I am the Flame.
I guess that's the end of play at school, Lady Edelgard. I mean, Your Majesty.
Get to work, everyone. The crest stones belong to us now. And take those filthy bones, too.
Insolence! You will atone for the sin of trampling on this holy resting place. Professor, destroy these villainous traitors who dare dishonor our creator.
Wait, what's the meaning of this, Edelgard?
You made use of us? Why?
I'm sorry, my teacher. I cut this path, and now I must follow it. My friends, I ask that all of you stay back. It is not my intention to fight you. By order of the Adrestian Emperor, Edelgard von Hresvelg, I command you to collect the crest stones. If anyone attempts to stop us, kill them.
You have disappointed me, Edelgard. To think that a descendant of House Hresvelg would dare betray the Holy Church.
So, it is my teacher who stands in my way. I always knew it would come to this.
Professor, kill Edelgard at once. She is a danger to all of Fodlan. Such a rebellious heart cannot be allowed to keep beating. You. How dare you?
My teacher, thank you. But are you certain that... No. Now isn't the time for discussion.
Words cannot properly express my gratitude, Professor.
So, this is the choice you have made. You are just another failure. Your presence soils this holy tomb and disgraces my brethren. I will not allow one who would lend our enemies strength to wield the power of the goddess Sothis. I have passed judgment, and now I shall rip your chest open and take back your heart myself!
That must be the Immaculate One.
Yes. The monsters that have controlled Fodlan in secret for far too long. Rhea is their leader.
There's no time to waste. Your Majesty, Professor, we must escape while we can.
Professor, may I speak with you? I appreciate it. I'm just anxious. It feels like the weight of this burden is crushing me. At this very moment, on my orders, I'm starting a war. An army far larger than the one that attacked the Holy Tomb last month will soon be locked in battle. Long-devised strategies are unfolding across Fodlan. Leaders are deciding their loyalties and preparing to fight. So many generals and soldiers will die. It's inevitable that civilians will get caught up in the chaos as well. There will be countless casualties. With a single command, the flames of war will rage across all corners of this realm. And I am the one who is giving the order. Yes, it is. There is no turning back. No matter how much blood flows at my feet, I will not relent. We must break the bonds that the depraved church has placed on Fodlan. These sacrifices will allow us to create a future where we never need sacrifice again. It may seem contradictory, but it's the only way. Listen to me. I made up my mind long ago. Yet here I am, seeking your approval. Tell me the truth, my teacher. Are you happy with your decision to stay by my side? Unlike me, you can still walk away from all of this. This path leads to the death of the Archbishop and the servants of the Church. Can you live with that? I never thought... I'm sorry, it was a foolish question. I believe in you, Professor. And you believed in me. With that knowledge, I have the strength to keep fighting. Let's go. There's something I need to say to Hubert. Now that the details are settled, all that's left is to come up with a name for ourselves. In honor of our time at the Academy, how about we call ourselves the Black Eagle Strike Force? I'm so happy you feel that way. I must confess that I spent all night thinking about it. I'll leave it to you to prepare the Black Eagle Strike Force for departure. We will join forces with the main army and attack Garrick Mach. It's a fortress built on steep ground, but it's never seen battle. That means we don't know much about it from a military perspective. But if we use all of the power at our disposal, we will capture it. From a purely mathematical standpoint, we most certainly have the power to win. If the battle becomes a clash of beasts within human strength, you will be our only hope. I believe in you. I'm relying on you to lead the Black Eagle Strike Force to victory. Ugh, I'm so sick of it all. There is so much to be done, yet all I encounter are new problems and pitfalls. Ugh. Sometimes I wish I could spend just one day doing absolutely nothing and gorging myself on sweets. Do you mean it? Just the thought makes me happy. But Hubert would never allow it. Indeed. It may not be possible now, but one day we will know the joys of idling. Mark my words. Is that a smirk I spy? Is it so amusing to you, me daydreaming of free time? Your silly grin says otherwise. But let's put all that aside for now. There is something I've been meaning to tell you. I'm afraid this might sound a bit sentimental. However, I want to thank you. Because of you, I feel I can walk my fated path without losing myself. If I were alone, I might have lost perspective and become a harsh leader with a heart of ice. But I'm not alone. With you by my side, I'm somehow free to be not only a leader, but simply Edelgard. Until now, no one has been able to surpass me, much less command me. I have always been seen as an untouchable princess or emperor. No one spoke to me as an equal or met my gaze without flinching. It was lonely, terribly lonely. The only person I could rely on as I tried to claw my way out of the darkness was myself. But you have been a brilliant light. Somehow you have chased the darkness away. And for that, I will always be grateful. "5 years ago to the day. If things had continued on as they were, today would have been the Millennium Festival."
Halt! Who's there? It can't be. Professor? Is it really you? But I searched everywhere and never found a trace. My teacher. What have you been doing all this time? Where have you been? Joking? At a time like this? You do realize it's been 5 years since you disappeared. Do you have any idea how guilty I felt? How broken my heart was? I searched high and low after you vanished. Although there was no proof, I somehow knew you were alive. All this time, I led everyone as best I could, and fought with all my heart. It's been a difficult path to walk alone.
Welcome back, my teacher. I'm so happy that you're safe. 5 years. Such a short time, but it feels like an eternity ago. Do you still feel the way you did all those years ago? You said then that you would fight at my side no matter how many enemies we should amass. As for me, my resolve has not faltered. I'm determined as ever to see this through to the end. I will defeat the false goddess. I will save this world from those creatures and give humanity its freedom back. So, my teacher, are you prepared to stand with me? I thank you. Truly. Now then, I assume you understand the situation at hand, yes? Another joke? Or are you telling the truth? I suppose you must be. In that case, I'll tell you all that has transpired as you slumbered these past 5 years. And that is where we are now. The war is at a stalemate. Dimitri is the new king of Fargus. It's clear that his territory will continue to support the church. Meanwhile, Claude's leadership has thrown the Alliance into chaos. He maintains neutrality in their internal conflict. The situation has created a deadlock. We've been awaiting an opportunity for our squadron to return to the monastery. With you in the fray, I believe the state of the war will shift immediately. The church, as well as the kingdom and the Alliance. The time has come to eliminate them all. Rhea, Sedith, the Knights, and the others are in prime condition. They've set up their base within the kingdom capital. The Immaculate One and her family have yet to fight on the front lines. However, we must eventually face and defeat them. It would mean a great deal to have you with us when the time comes. Good. Well then, I believe it's time for a little reunion. The Black Eagle Strike Force never lost faith. They knew you were alive and have been awaiting your return. Let's not keep them waiting any longer. Quite the reunion, isn't it, Professor? Everyone's happy to see you.
Come on, Edelgard. You must be happier than all of us combined. She took it really hard when you disappeared, Professor.
Professor, I'm sorry to have dragged you into the fight again so soon after our reunion. But you appeared at a most opportune time. I'm truly humbled by your support, my teacher. Thank you. And so I will. I'm hoping your abilities from 5 years prior are still intact. Make sure you're ready to head out, okay?
This should put a stop to one of Edelgard's choice phrases. Well done, Professor. I believe it was, if only the Professor were here, we could forge ahead and change the tides of this war.
Ferdinand, it is not necessary to tell the Professor such things. I wish we could settle all of this before the fighting begins, don't you? I wish it dearly, but few others feel that way. They fight in a bloody battle, take countless lives, and then finally come to understand defeat. They refuse to admit when they're beaten, and they keep it up until they've been utterly defeated. Of course, I understand that sacrifice is inevitable. But if they're going to surrender after being defeated anyway, why raise a weapon in the first place? Professor, you didn't hear anything just now, did you? Cute! Huh. Well, be that as it may, it is not your concern. It was nothing. You seem to be trying your hardest to infuriate me. Don't you dare say that again. It's just... well, there was a rat. I don't enjoy the company of rats. I believe I've told you about this before. About when I was held captive beneath the palace. There were a lot of rats there. To this day, I just... What? Oh, Professor, leave here at once. I recall now that Hubert needs to speak with me. I must change my clothes. Now!
whatever you do, don't look this way. Then forget what you saw. That's an order. Professor, if the Alliance falls, then the Kingdom will... There's no time to waste. If we hesitate, we risk losing the initiative. I do think we should let the troops rest, though. We must maintain morale, Professor. And let's make sure this matter stays between us. If it gets out, I'll struggle to forgive even you. Thank you. Yes? Oh, it's you, Professor. I was certain it was Hubert coming to drag me back to my duties. Your Majesty, you must know your supreme talents are needed at present. Why not gaze at these documents instead of the sky? Doesn't it? And the worst part is that he's always right, so I can't even argue with him. But that's enough about Hubert for the moment. While I have your attention, I'd like to thank you for your help in that last battle. As you well know, I'm perfectly capable of commanding the army by myself. However, when you're around, it's somehow different. I'm not sure I can properly explain it. I suppose your perspective on the battlefield is simply sharper than mine. When you're devising tactics and tricks for us, it's almost as though you can read the enemy's mind. There's no getting around it. Your talent for strategy far exceeds my own. I'm quite jealous, in all honesty. Is that a fact? Well, if you insist. I suppose a flower from another's field is always more beautiful. I'll admit, I think of you as rather detached, so to hear that you have emotions such as jealousy is something of a relief. I can't deny it. Ever since I underwent those procedures, I've certainly distanced myself from the ordinary world. Friends. That word somehow doesn't seem adequate. Besides, we've been friends for a long time, you and I. By now, we're so much more than that, at least in my mind. You know, instead of Edelgard, you can call me just Elle, if you so please. That's what my parents and closest sisters used to call me when I was little. Now there's no one left who calls me Elle. But with you, well, I think I could allow it. In fact, it would mean a great deal to me. Why? Well, you have stood beside me and shared my burdens. As I said, you are much more than a friend. In truth, you are like family to me. I suppose that's why. Professor, halt! Don't come in here. I thought I told you to forget about that. There's something I don't want you to see. So, you know about it. Yes, it's a portrait of you. I painted it myself. It's, quite disgraceful. I did a terrible job with it, and it looks nothing like you. I'm happy that you appreciate my efforts, but please don't touch that door. Professor, you have that same strength as well, whether or not you realize it yet. Please, don't get yourself killed trying to protect me. Until the very end, we'll survive this trial together. Understood? This month, we will take all of the military force we can muster and advance to the kingdom capital of Ferdiad. I have no intention of retreating to Garreg Mach after we've come this far. We will only return after we've conquered Ferdiad and put an end to this war. Be sure to steel your heart and ready yourself for the battle ahead. I'm sorry to burden you, but please look after our allies as well.
Sorry. It looks like I'm going to have to leave you now. One day,
I hope you'll give this ring to someone you love, as well as I love her.
If they ran all the way back to Ferdiad, it will be very difficult to pursue them. Yes, together we'll end this once and for all. For all the lives lost in battle, by our allies and foes alike. And for Dimitri as well. Yes, the thirst for revenge that imprisoned him was the result of my uncle's strategy. He believed that I was the cause of everything, and he lost sight of his path as king. There was nothing I could do to save him, and so, the very least I could do was... No. The Edelgard who shed tears died many years ago. Everything that's happened, it's all just part of the ebb and flow of history. The tragedy of Duscar, our days at the Academy, Father's death, and the 5 years you were gone. After all of that, at long last, we're here, at this point in time. I hope you'll stay by my side until the very end. It's time for humanity to take this world back. Professor, may I speak with you? I know the timing is less than ideal, but there's something I need to tell you. I imagine you've already sensed it, but even still. I must tell you the truth, of the power you wield and of what you are. I expected as much. You, like Rhea, share a bloodline with the so-called goddess. Your mother likely had some connection to the goddess, whose power has always been sleeping within you. 5 years ago, when your power awakened, I was afraid you would choose to join with Rhea. I did. As you know, my goal is to free our world from the control of Rhea and the other children of the goddess. I seek to obliterate her, as well as those around her who use the Church's power to control Fodlan. I swore to free the people from Rhea by striking her down, whether or not it meant making an enemy of you. And yet, you came to my aid and chose to walk with me on the path against Rhea. I was overjoyed, of course, but I was also confused. I thought that perhaps it wasn't the path you were meant to take. But I chose to trust in you, to rely on you and your strength. And now, here we are. Thank you for listening, my teacher. I'm glad I finally had the chance to talk to you about it. After Rhea is gone from this world, I don't know what will become of you. But whatever happens, I hope you know that you're very special to me. You are the one person in this world who can share the heavy burden I must carry. Someone without equal, who I can always speak my mind to. It's time. Let's go, Professor.
When humanity stands strong, and people reach out for each other, there's no need for gods. Rhea, your reign of tyranny is over. The time has come. I'm ending this once and for all! Is it over? The children of the goddess have been defeated at last. The shape of the world will be forever changed. Humanity is free now. The world is ours once again. Can you believe it? I see. Well, one thing is certain. The fate of this world depends on the choices we make. It's possible that people would have been happier continuing to mindlessly obey the goddess. Our work is far from over, and we can't ignore the possibility that our enemies will resurface one day. I don't know what the future holds, but come what may, will you stay by my side? You chose to protect me at the Holy Tomb. Will you choose me again? What I'm trying to say is, I need you. You called me Elle. That means more than I can say. And this ring, it's lovely. Thank you, my dearest friend. I will happily accept it. I must admit, I feared my feelings would be unrequited. So long as I had you by my side, it never mattered how many enemies I amassed. You were all I needed. All this time, I longed to share my feelings with you, and it seems you wished for the same. Now, our wishes have come true. This feeling, it's overwhelming. I promise the same. Together we can achieve anything. We will crush those who slither in the dark and restore peace and order to Fodlan. I will then find a suitable successor and hand over the reins of the Empire. When all that is done, it will be just the two of us. I look forward to starting our life together in the light of a glorious new dawn. Yes, that is all we can do for now. We must remain focused on our goals. To think that I may truly call you my partner and equal now. The solitary reign of Edelgard has come to an end. From now on, we walk this path together. With time and care, the darkness shrouding this world will be lifted. You and I will become the light that shines over Fodlan, just as you have shined upon my life.